When Kim Jong-un demanded loyalty, Private Han Min-soo stood still, and the silence shook Pyongyang. In the heart of Pyongyang, where towering statues and red banners cast long shadows over the city, the air thrummed with anticipation. It was a crisp autumn morning in 2025, and the capital buzzed with preparations for a grand military parade to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Korean People's Army. The boulevards were a kaleidoscope of synchronized marches, fluttering flags, and the rhythmic clatter of boots on asphalt. For weeks, the nation had been mobilized to showcase its strength and unity under Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, whose image dominated every billboard and state broadcast. Private Han Min-soo, a 24-year-old soldier in the elite Supreme Guard Command, stood among his comrades, his olive green uniform pressed to perfection, his rifle gleaming under the pale sunlight. The Supreme Guard Command was tasked with protecting the leader and embodying the nation's loyalty, an honor that carried immense weight. Han was a model soldier, disciplined, sharp, and fiercely dedicated. His family had endured decades of hardship, like so many in North Korea, clinging to the regime's promises of prosperity. His father, a low-ranking officer, and his mother, a factory worker, had raised him in a modest home adorned with portraits of the Kim dynasty. Joining the military was not a choice born of fervor, but of duty, a path to secure food rations and honor for his family. His selection to the Supreme Guard Command was a rare privilege, a testament to his impeccable record and physical prowess. Yet, as Han stood in formation, his heart carried a quiet unease. Whispers had crept into the barracks over the past months. Tales of North Korean soldiers sent to fight in Ukraine alongside Russian forces. Han's cousin, a logistics officer, had spoken in hushed tones of the coffins returning to Pyongyang, draped in flags but shrouded in silence. The state media called the fallen heroes, but the truth was darker. Many were ill-prepared, equipped with outdated gear, and sent to a foreign battlefield with little training. Han pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the task ahead. Today, his unit would perform a ceremonial salute as Kim Jong-un's motorcade passed through Kim Il-sung Square. To salute the leader was more than a gesture. It was a sacred act, a pledge of devotion to the man who embodied the nation's soul. Kim Il-sung Square was a sea of soldiers, civilians, and foreign dignitaries, all gathered to witness the parade spectacle. The Supreme Guard Command stood in perfect rows, their movements rehearsed to precision. Han's heart pounded as the motorcade approached, the crowd's murmurs falling silent. Kim Jong-un emerged from his armored Mercedes-Benz, his black coat billowing slightly in the breeze. His presence was magnetic, commanding absolute attention. The generals bowed, the soldiers snapped to attention, and the civilians clapped in unison, their applause orchestrated by unseen conductors. The command came, "Salute." The soldiers moved as one, their hands rising in perfect unison to honor their leader. But Han's hand remained at his side. His rifle stayed slung over his shoulder, his posture rigid but defiant. A ripple of shock passed through the ranks. Lieutenant Park, standing beside him, hissed under his breath, "Min-soo, what are you doing?" Han's eyes were fixed on Kim Jong-un, who had paused, his gaze narrowing. The square seemed to freeze, the air thick with the collective gasp of thousands. Kim's entourage, generals, aides, and security officers, turned their heads, their faces a mix of confusion and fury. Kim tilted his head slightly, as if studying an anomaly. For a moment, Han thought he saw a flicker of curiosity in the leader's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a cold, unyielding stare. "Private Han Min-soo," Kim said, his voice low but carrying the weight of absolute authority. The crowd parted as he stepped closer, his polished shoes clicking on the pavement. "Why do you not salute your supreme leader?" He knew the consequences: imprisonment, execution, or worse, the punishment of his entire family. Yet the words spilled out, fueled by months of silent questions. "Great leader," he said, his voice steady but trembling at the edges, "I cannot salute when my brothers lie dead in a foreign land, sent to fight a war that is not ours. Their coffins return, but their sacrifice is cloaked in lies. I honor you, but I cannot honor this. A collective intake of breath swept through the square. Lieutenant Park's face paled, and the generals exchanged glances, their hands inching toward their holsters. Kim's sister, Kim Yo-jong, standing nearby, narrowed her eyes, her expression unreadable. The foreign dignitaries shifted uncomfortably, aware they were witnessing a moment that could ripple through North Korea's tightly controlled narrative. Kim Jong-un did not speak immediately. He studied Han, his face a mask of calm that betrayed no emotion. Then, in a move that stunned the onlookers, he raised a hand, silencing the murmurs. You speak of sacrifice, he said, his voice cutting through the tension. You think you know the cost of our nation's survival? You, a mere soldier, dare to judge the path I have chosen for our people. Han swallowed hard, his resolve wavering but holding. I'm a soldier, great leader, but I'm also a son of Korea. My cousin died in Kursk. His body returned in a box with no explanation. We are told to fight, to die, but never why. If my defiance brings death, so be it, but I will not salute a lie. The square was deathly silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Kim's eyes bore into Han's, searching for something, weakness, perhaps, or rebellion. But Han stood firm, his heart racing but his gaze unwavering. For a fleeting moment, he thought he saw a shadow of doubt cross Kim's face, a crack in the godlike facade. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared. Kim turned to his security chief. Take him, he said, his voice devoid of emotion. 2 guards seized Han, their grips like iron, and dragged him away from the square. The crowd erupted into murmurs, quickly stifled by the watchful eyes of state security. Kim resumed his inspection, the parade continuing as if nothing had happened, but the atmosphere had shifted. A seed of unease had been planted, one that would not easily be uprooted. Han was taken to a detention facility on the outskirts of Pyongyang, a gray concrete fortress where dissenters vanished. In a cold, windowless cell, he awaited his fate. Interrogators came, demanding answers, but Han offered none. He thought of his family, likely already rounded up for re-education, and his heart ached. Yet he felt a strange peace. For the first time, he had spoken his truth, however fleetingly. In the days that followed, Han's act became a whispered topic among the soldiers. Some said he had been executed, his name erased from records. Others claimed he was alive, held in secret, his defiance a quiet spark in the minds of those who had witnessed it. In the barracks, late at night, soldiers spoke of the war in Ukraine, of the coffins, and of a young guard who dared to stand still when the world demanded he bow. Kim Jong-un, too, was not untouched by the incident. In private, he pondered the soldiers' words, though he would never admit it. The war in Ukraine had been a gamble, a way to strengthen ties with Russia and modernize his military, but the cost was mounting. Publicly, he doubled down, broadcasting images of the fallen soldiers' coffins as a symbol of national pride. Yet Han's defiance lingered in his mind, a reminder that even in a nation built on absolute control, a single act could ripple through the silence. Years later, the story of the defiant guard became a whispered legend, a tale told in shadows. It was said that Han Min-soo's refusal to salute had not changed the regime, but it had cracked the illusion of unity, if only for a moment. For those who heard it, it was a spark, a dangerous, fleeting hope that even in the heart of oppression, one could stand and say no. In the barracks, a new generation of soldiers listened to the tale, their eyes gleaming with questions they dared not ask aloud. And in Pyongyang, where the statues still stood and the banners still waved, the memory of a single unsaluted moment lived on, carried in whispers that refused to fade.